Alrighty, welcome to this podcast without JD because he doesn't help. We're going to be going over the MLS 2024 playoff bracket, and we're going to see who I have winning these games. Because I think it's going to be a great playoff tournament. We got so many good teams, and I think it's going to be electric. Starting off, we're going to start with the West. Uh, go here. Starting in the West, you have LAFC and Vancouver. LAFC obviously with the number one seed, and Vancouver beating Portland last night to advance to the first round to the best of three series. But honestly, I think Vancouver can take this to 3 games because LAFC they've struggled. I mean, they're good and they have pretty good players with Denny Bouanga. They have Olivier Giroud, Hugo Lloris, but they're not clutch in big game situations. So I can see them going to 3 games, but I think LA is too strong for Vancouver, even though Vancouver did have a pretty good performance. So I will go with LA. Seattle and Houston, which I think Seattle is the 4th seed. Houston is the 5. I think this is also going to 3 games. Seattle will have hosting privileges for the first game and the third game if it goes to 3. Seattle finished the season with 57 points with 16 wins. Pretty good season. I see them beating Houston in 3 games because I don't see Houston as the most consistent team. I mean, they have some big wins, but they finished the season decently strong with a win at home versus New England. They did lose to Seattle about 2 weeks ago, and a phenomenal win against the LA Galaxy with a 100th minute stoppage time winner, which obviously gave LAFC the number 1 seed. But I have Seattle going through. Next up is RSL versus Minnesota. This is the 3 versus 6. RSL started off really strong this year. It did kind of fall off towards the end, going with 2 wins and 2 draws at the end of the season. But I think Chicho Arango is one of the better players in this league. I think he's going to be the star of this series, and I think it'll be enough to get past Minnesota. Next up, we got the LA Galaxy versus the Colorado Rapids. I I believe that LA Galaxy is a very good team, but there have been instances where they've struggled. I mean, getting Marco Ruiz this year has very much helped them out, but I Ricky Puig is very good. So I think just with the star players they have, I think they're gonna make it through without any worry. I think they're winning this in 2 games. Going to the eastern side of the bracket. This is where things can get like a little upset. Like we can see some upsets here. Starting off with Inter Miami and Atlanta United. First game's tomorrow in Miami with obviously Messi, Busquets, Suarez. Uh, Atlanta has shown some grit and determination these past few games to close out the season. They obviously snuck into the playoffs and they beat Montreal in the play-in game to advance to the first round. I think Atlanta United can take this to 3 games, but I think Miami's just too strong of a team. So with that, I have Messi and Miami beating Atlanta. Charlotte and Orlando. I think this could be like the best series in the East because Charlotte's been consistently pretty good. I mean, they are the 5 seed. They will be playing Orlando, which is 4 seed. Um, Charlotte's very good at home. I think. Uh, I think they'll at least win their. I think they'll win the home game. Let's see. This year, at home at Bank of America Stadium, they were. Let's see. I know they were pretty good. Let me just find the total for that. They have won the last 4 of the 5. Uh, their goal differential is 9 plus 9. Uh, they won 9 games through 5 and lost 3. That's a pretty good schedule at home. But if we look at the away schedule, 5 wins, 4 draws, 8 losses. So they are not very comfortable playing away from home. Well, I think Charlotte could surprise people here. Even though they're not great at playing at home, I feel like they can send at least one of the matches to pens and advance because in the first round there are no extra time; it just goes straight to pens. So with that, I'm actually going to take the upset here. I'm going Charlotte over Orlando because I've seen good play from Charlotte with Colina in the goal. I think he's goalkeeper of the year, and I think they can get past Orlando. But I feel like that is going to be a great series. Cincinnati and New York City. I know what people want to see. They want to see Columbus and Cincinnati face in Hell is Real. It's one of the best rivalries in Major League Soccer, if not the best. I think it's the best. Um, Cincinnati has not come into the playoffs with a strong, like they are not playing very well. They did win their last match against Philadelphia on decision day, but they're not the same caliber as it was last year, playing the Supporter Shield and going to the Eastern Conference Final. New York City, I think is a decent team, but I think Lucho Acosta and the Cincinnati team, I think they I think they'll come back and play pretty well here in this first round. With we need to see Miazga. He's not. He is notorious in not playing in playoff games and high level matches. So I want to see how Matt Miazga plays on defense. Uh, but the combination between Arcello or Oriello, Acosta, and Yedlin, or Kubo, the pairing between them three, I think it's too strong against the back line of New York's defense. So I will say FC Cincinnati will move on. As I was saying about people want to see the Crew and FC Cincinnati, I think it will happen. The Columbus Crew versus the Red Bull New York. The Crew have beat the Red Bulls twice this year. They beat them 3-0 at home in March, I want to say. And last week on decision day, they won 3-2 with a stoppage time winner after New York came back from a 2-0 deficit. I think Wilfred Nazi and the Columbus Crew, and they're the leaders in the front. You have Cucho, Diego Rossi, Christian Ramirez, Arston. You have Nagby in the midfield, and a pretty good goalkeeper in Patrick Schulte. I see Columbus moving through. I'm not trying to be biased here, but I think Columbus will get by New York. Going back to the West with LAFC and Seattle. Now we move on to just one game. There's no more best of three. So one game, LAFC would be hosting this at BMO Stadium. I think Seattle is. I don't see them going any further. And I think, other than the big loss at home from earlier in the season when the Crew went to LA and beat them 5-1, I don't think LAFC has lost a very big game against opponents coming into their stadium. I think every game they've played at home has been pretty close. Uh, um, this year for Seattle, they have a the 11th best uh, record at home. So I don't see in the away they're even better. But if we're comparing the two teams, LA is better at home than Seattle is away. So I think with that and the strong midfield and attack with LAFC, I think the I think Seattle will hold most of the ball, but LAFC is just strong on the counterattacks. So and they can capitalize very easily. So with that, I have LAFC beating Seattle. We have RSL versus LA, the Galaxy. This would be hosted by LA. I think Ricky Puig and Marco Reus, I think they are a great duo. So I'm not into I haven't watched the West as much as I have the East, but from what I've seen from the LA Galaxy, they are a strong team, and with RSL, they're RSL and the LA Galaxy have LA beat the Galaxy at uh, in Salt Lake City, and they drew at in LA. But if we're talking one game, which team's better? I have to go LA. I don't think I don't think it's a question, especially after the moves that LA Galaxy have made this year. It's from going from a team that didn't make the playoffs last year to a team that almost came first in the West. I think that's pretty good, and I think they will be going to the Western Conference Final. Back to the East, we have Miami and Charlotte. We did see this match played in Miami around 3 weeks ago, and I want to say Charlotte didn't play bad. They got a draw, 1-1 in Miami. Messi scoring that goal for Miami. Uh, and Inter Miami did beat Charlotte in Charlotte this year on July 3rd. Which is one of like 4 losses for Charlotte at home this year. And I just think Miami's such a great team. They're stacked completely. Tata Martino, the coach, has I think he's the second best coach in the league behind Wilfred Nancy. But I think Wilfred Nancy is the coach of the year because Tata Martino has all these well-rounded players, and Wilfred Nancy has Cucho Rossi and Nagby. Like, other than that, you have a lot of new folks. You have not as many experienced players, and it's better to be a good coach when you're teaching the younger players, getting them more experience in the league. And we've seen this year, Columbus has been in great form. But going back to this game, I think Miami will beat Charlotte. So Miami will go to the Eastern Conference Final. Now, hell is real. FC Cincinnati will be traveling to Columbus in this scenario. Last time we did see this match in Columbus, FC Cincinnati actually beat the Crew in Columbus, which is a very hard thing to do. And they came out firing. They were mad from the last year's Eastern Conference Final. But if we have to go on a performance this year, and like the best pick, in my opinion, is the Crew, just off talent and like performance this year, I think it's clear that Cincinnati has not been as good this year. They've lost some games that they shouldn't have lost, and just unnecessary errors made in the backfield, which lead to goals. I think Columbus will win in a close game. Probably goes to extra time in what will be another hell is real thriller in the playoffs. So we have our conference championships here with the Western Conference in El Tráfico versus the newly born rivalry between Inter Miami and Columbus Crew. If we'll start with the West, we have El Tráfico. I think it's the second best rivalry in Major League Soccer. And I think I see an upset here. I think LA Galaxy will go to the MLS Cup. It's a stacked. Both teams are stacked, but I just see LA Galaxy beating LAFC. If we're going off of the recent games, LA Galaxy won on September 14th, 4-2 at home. I think going off the last few matches of the year, I think LA Galaxy are in better form. But you never know with these kind of matches. So I think I'm still going to stay with LA Galaxy. But I think this match goes to pens. I am very looking forward to this match. I really want this match to happen. I think it will be a great game if it does. Now going to Eastern Conference Final with Inter Miami and Lionel Messi going up against Cucho Hernandez and the Columbus Crew. As a Crew supporter, I believe that we will win. I want to say we're going to win. But it's Miami. I think this one is a coin toss. It's going to be played in Miami. Messi, he's been on a tear since coming back from injury. Inter Miami clinched the Supporters' Shield in Columbus, defeating the Crew. I don't know with this. I think the defense in Miami is a little weaker than Columbus is. Miami, you have Busquets, but other than that, you don't have these talented veteran players. I mean, you do have Jordi Alba, but I think the Crew are just too strong in the offensive side of the field. And I think Inter Miami's defense isn't the greatest. So I think Columbus will sneak by Miami. Again, this is a toss-up. I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but I think I'm going to say Columbus. MLS Cup 2024. My prediction is the Columbus Crew will be hosting the LA Galaxy, which is another great game. That's why I love the playoffs. No other soccer league, no European soccer league does playoffs during the season. From an American, like, you love playoffs, and I love playoffs. So if we're going off that, I love them because you just see all the best teams of the season play for like even more. You play big games to decide who will win the MLS Cup. But we're going off LA Galaxy and Columbus. We have not seen them play in a while. The last time was last year, May 17th. In Columbus, Lucas Villarreal and Malte Amundsen scored a 2-0 victory. However, LA Galaxy have not only got stronger, and they have played much better this year. I think this game's going to be a shootout. I think we're going to see a lot of goals if this happens. I personally say this goes to penalties, and you never know in penalties. Penalties are stressful. Like, one shot and you like ruin your season if you miss. But that's the way it works. I think, in my totally non-biased opinion, I think the Columbus Crew will go back to back be your 2024 MLS Cup champions. I know I'm biased, but I think it could go either way. Whether or not, which who knows, Inter Miami could make the MLS Cup. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. And I feel like it's all 50-50. We don't know what's going to happen, which is the fun of this. It's the fun of the playoffs. That's why we watch. That's why we watch sports. We don't know what's going to happen, which is a lot of fun. And I think this is going to be a great playoff year, especially we've already seen very good games. Well, at least one good game. Vancouver beating Portland was not a good game, at least for Portland. Vancouver was strong. I think so. I think that's what's going to happen. Obviously, I don't know anything. I'm just a guy that talks about sports for no reason. So who knows? But those are my picks. And see you guys next time.